Hi, I'm Jeff, and today we're here to talk about the real reason why it's so hard to lose weight. As a hypnotherapist, I work a lot with addictions, with drugs and alcohol and smoking and gambling, or other sort of behavioural addictions. So a lot of people come to hypnotherapy for weight loss as well. And it didn't occur to me at first, but I remember one day just seeing it so clearly, the similarity between the behaviours of a drug addict and people attempting to lose weight. Constant failures at setting rules and starting and stopping and having the unrealistic expectations and constantly trying to stop, not being able to, and everyone around them just not expecting it to work, and then finding these ways to always go back to the behavior, justifying it with the oh, it's okay, you've had a hard day, and oh, you deserve this, and all these kind of distortions that happen. And it was just quite a revelation when I first realized that. Once I saw this connection, I thought, could we all really be so addicted to food? It seems to be such a common problem. And to say, oh, we're addicted to food, was that a bit of a stretch? But I just thought I'd look into it further and see what other people may have been saying about this and what may have been researched around it, because to me, it just seems so obvious that was what was happening, but it's not really talked about anywhere much, because it's just so common. The way that people diet and fail their diets, and the whole relationship with dieting that the culture has. I'm going to say one word that really sums it all up, the real reason, and that word is dopamine. It's a brain chemical that drives the pleasure center in the brain. And as you can see, the effect of sugar and cocaine, it lights up the same area of the brain, right? And that's the pleasure center of the brain. So the experience of eating, it's something that changes our state. It lights up that area of the brain, and when we're feeling bad, we want to do something that makes us feel good, makes us feel pleasurable. So eating is a behavior that we do all the time, and it seems like such an innocent behavior. If you want to feel better, change your state, eat. And you do that often enough and you get addicted to it, really. And it's hard to get off it because, who doesn't want to feel good, right? So it seemed quite obvious to me that this is something that's not being talked about, and something that is really a very important piece for us to, get on top of it and help ourselves remain on track. Because if you don't admit the problem, you can't fix it. We need to see it for what it is. One of the things that makes this really hard is because of the way that the business of food is set up. When you look at what's actually happening in these big companies who make food, like junk food, they have scientists working on their products to get it to what they call the bliss point. What do you think a bliss point is? That's where they can cranking those dopamine receptors as much as possible. When you bite it, it just lights up your senses and gives you a sensation overload, and then it feels great, and then you want more and more and more. So it's literally trying to stimulate your brain every bite that you have. If we still have to eat food, and we still have to be around food, and we still have to do all these things, what hope do we have? And what could we hope to achieve? With things that are kind of obviously bad, junk food, cake, chips, chocolate, lollies, all these kinds of things, no one sits down to a piece of cake and thinks to themselves, this is good for me, this is good stuff, this is healthy, it's food, it's going to heal my body, it's going to give me energy. Like everyone, it's like smoking. No one lights up a cigarette and says, this is healthy for me, this is good. What they think is, this is bad for me. I know it's bad for me, but I'm going to do it anyway because it feels good. Right? And same with the cake. Nobody sits down to it and thinks, it's good for me. They think, I know it's bad, but I'm going to do it anyway because it feels good. So I think there are the obvious ones that we can eliminate, right? The ones where you know when you're sitting there and you're looking at it and you emotionally know that this isn't good. I'm just doing it because it tastes good, because I want the bliss of eating and having that yummy food. But really, you know what it's doing to you. You know it's full of sugar, it's full of junk, it doesn't make you feel good afterwards. It's just the pleasurable experience of having it. So those are some easy ones that you can kind of look at and know that that's probably not something you should be doing, and not going to help you lose weight, and is really you just feeding your brain stimulation rather than actually feeding your body. So if you've got any familiarity with the Alcoholics Anonymous philosophy, it's sort of just like once an addict, always an addict. You know, you're always going to be tempted to go down that road. You could if you even one drink. And I don't necessarily believe that that's true, but I understand how they can come to that conclusion. You've always got that in your nervous system, what it feels like to just be indulging in a very gluttonous way, just going way up and enjoying it at the time, you know. And it's there in your nervous system. You could always go back to it. So, and when you have a little bit of it, it reminds you of what it was like to just really give yourself into it and the pleasure of it in the moment. So, and I think that's with food, that's always going to be there. So we've got to always be vigilant with that. In a sense, what I'm saying is, if you've been a food addict, which most of us are, or have been, you're probably always going to have that to some degree. And that's okay, because I think what the best chance we have is to become functional addicts, right? So you're doing enough around it to offset when you do end up having a relapse and, you know, having some junk food, and that's okay. You can do that. It's not a sin. But if we want to be maintaining our health and getting leaner and feeling better and stronger, then we need to make sure that we're doing all the other behaviors around it that are going to make sure that we're moving towards that goal. So I hope that I was able to offer you some insights that would help you make more of a difference in your own life. And my desire is to see people succeed more in their health journeys, and that I was able to help along the way with that. And if you'd like to hear more from me, then subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with someone if you think that might help them and make a difference for them. And comment down below, because I'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned. We're releasing videos every week, and I hope to see you next time.